out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy, aka DFS Dudes, and we're here to present you our NFL Week 13 picks. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This week I watch all my NFL, NBA, and MLB videos. And if you haven't came to our website here at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, everything that you need. So check it out, dfscheatsheet.com. So real quick, before we get anything, or while we're talking about the site, hey man, come check out this really cool article that we got up for NFL. Our Value Street article posted for this week. Got a bunch of good stuff, coming through with the site. Come check out the article, man. Definitely, we got a bunch of different content. We're about to do this video, obviously, for our Week 13 picks. So definitely, man, check out the site. We got the optimizer. Everything's going very good right now. So, hey, how you doing out there, Jeremy?
Yo, what up, man?
DraftKings
smashed tonight, huh?
Yeah, DraftKings went crazy for NBA. Fanduel cashed in all of our cash games as well. So it was a solid night on NBA for sure.
Hey, make sure that one thing I want to make sure we do too before we hop into the video is give out that promo code so it's not too late to get our cash game lineup for tomorrow's main slate for DraftKings and FanDuel. Sign up for the website. We'll give you $20 off your first month. Use code SIGNUP20, SIGNUP20 at checkout. You get $20 off your first month. Sign up for that VIP membership. Make sure you get that done before lock tomorrow, and you can still get in on our cash game lineups for tomorrow's main slate.
Yeah, definitely, man. So, hey, you ready just to jump straight up into some NFL, or what's up?
No, let's go.
Okay, cool, man. Well, hey, we got 13 game slate, week 13. It feels like things are going by. Hey, real quick, we got our boy Marv. We got the homie Roberts up in here. Hey, I want to know, what does everybody think about the Kareem Hunt thing? Obviously, that's the news of week 13. So what do you think about it, bro?
I mean, I'll keep it short and sweet. When I saw the headline, I was like, what? So then I just Googled Kareem Hunt, and the first thing, obviously, TMZ's Johnny on the spot all the time. They have all the footage. And then I text you, and I was like, yo, you see this? But I mean, I see people in the league like Des Bryant. He deleted a text or a tweet. Like, dudes are trying to stick up for this guy. Bottom line, he's wrong, period. Like, I've heard all kinds of stuff like, oh, this girl was yelling racial slurs at him. He smashed an 18 or 19-year-old kid. And, like, there's nothing that anybody can say to justify what he did. And the crazy thing is like, I hear all these people saying that she was banging on his door for like 30 minutes. If you watch the go look at the TMZ article, one of his boys is talking to the cops. They got the body cam footage from the cops. And one of his boys is talking to the cops, and he pulls the chick's phone out of his pocket and gives it to the cops. Like, oh, here goes her phone. Go give her her phone. Okay, so she's banging on the door for 30 minutes, and you're behind the door on the other side, and you got her phone. Do you think maybe she's banging on the door to get her phone, or you think she's banging on the door to yell racial shit at you? Like, it don't add up to me. It adds up that she's banging on the door trying to get her phone. Finally, the dude, Kareem Hunt comes out, beats the crap out of her, and moves on. I mean, no matter what, it's worse than Ray Rice. Like, it's worse than Ray Rice, in my opinion. He's done.
Yeah, man. Hey, that was fucking crazy. Like, why would you do that? And it's like, obviously, dude knows that freaking he's seen what happened to Ray Rice. I mean, Ray Rice, he was already a Pro Bowler and shit, and he got his career done, so you think that that same thing's not gonna happen to you? Like, he must have been drunk or something, because that's just like absolutely stupidity, man, for sure. Hey, he was gonna get paid millions, bro. Now he has a chance to go to jail.
The thing about it is this, right? Like, you and I both coach high school sports, right? So the thing about it is this, like, the lesson to be learned out of this situation for everybody or anybody who's got talent, period, point blank, is you have to watch who you have around you. And what I mean by that is, like, you got to surround yourself with people that have your interests first. Right. If you don't have like interests, these dudes should have protected Kareem Hunt from the entire situation. If they had his back and he was surrounding himself with people who were really vested in his interests, Kareem Hunt never would have came out of that hotel room. It would have never happened.
Yeah, no, for sure. Man, that's crazy though. Hey, that's kind of I want to say feel bad for the dude, but I mean,
I
hey,
don't.
I know also I'm saying I want to say I do because he lost his career, but at the same time, like how can I say I feel bad for him for what he did? That's just absolutely there's no excuse for something like that, and hey, that's what he gets, man. So hey, man, let's
And
get into this league.
we live in a world too where you and I talk about all the time. These young kids, they don't realize a tweet can fuck their whole shit off, or it just takes one quick move and it's over.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, I feel. I mean, Joe McClain, I feel the exact same way, bro. That's crazy, man. Can't believe that. So, hey, let's move into some games, man. Let's talk some NFL Week 13. First game we're gonna go with it is gonna be Denver going into Cincinnati. This game has a 44.5 over under, and Denver's actually favored by 5 in this one. So, as always, get us started with the away side of things, bro.
Give me one. Well, so first of all, we have to say that you got to look at Denver's defense, right? Andy Dalton's been put on IR, so Denver's defense has been getting after the quarterback quite a bit. This is a very good spot for him. People tend to streamline a defense when there's obvious, especially a quarterback situation, when there's a quarterback change based on injury. People tend to use that defense to attack that situation. I think Denver will be somewhat chalky tomorrow because of that. Denver's in a good spot. I think Denver's in a really good spot. Cincinnati has struggled as of late. Their defense has struggled as of late. They got waxed. You can go back to the Saints game where they got absolutely waxed by Drew Brees. So, look, I think that Emmanuel Sanders is in a really good spot. I think that Lindsey's in a really good spot. I think Denver's defense is in a really good spot. That's pretty much where I'm going to keep it. We talked about Lindsey last week, and we talked about, Freeman was back and this and that, but Lindsey went out and proved that it's really his job, and Freeman's really the secondary player in that spot. So I think you can look at all three of those plays. Denver's defense has the ability to get after the quarterback. We know that. And anytime you can get after the quarterback, you can start to create turnover situations. We know that they strip sack. Von Miller is very good at jumping the snap and getting strip sacks. So I love Denver's defense in this one. And then, Emmanuel Sanders and Phillip Lindsay. I'm not going quarterback. I'm not even going to mention the dude's name because I just don't think it's worth it.
Yeah. So on the Cincinnati side of things, not trying to, skip out, but I'm just completely skipping Cincinnati if that's cool. You got Andy Dalton out, so they got a backup quarterback. And then if you can't really look at the running back going against a solid Denver defense, like you were saying. I'm not going to go with the wide receiver with the backup quarterback. So I'm just honestly just skipping Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's just like a bad spot completely, bro.
It's a bad spot completely. If you're playing a deep field tournament and you want to get some sort of a stack there, that's fine. But this is not the week to play their quarterback, not against this defense that gets after the passer.
And they're not going to be able to run because they're going to stack up the box with the backup quarterback.
Right.
So, all right, moving on. Next game we're going to go to, it's going to be the Cleveland Browns going into Houston to face the Texans. This game has a 47.5 implied total, and Houston's favored by 5.5 in this one.
Hey, really quick, one thing I want to make sure you guys check out is you mentioned a bunch of the content we're putting up on the site. Make sure that you check out the DVOA they have on NFL, the DVOA plays. That's going to pop up at any moment. It's a very cool tool. So make sure you take a look at that. So on the Cleveland side, look, Nick Chubb been playing very well. The guy I like is Jarvis Landry at 5,500. His price continued to drop. He's 7th in the league in targets. I mean, dude, he's got 111 targets, and his receptions okay, but the fact that he's only scored 2 touchdowns. That's what has his price at 5,500. The targets are there. 111 targets through 12 weeks. Here we go to week 13. $5,500. Price continues to drop. Sooner or later, this guy's going to have a 2-touchdown game. I'm not sure if it's this week, but for tournaments at 5,500, I think this is the best wide receiver number 3 you can get. I absolutely love him this week. And this guy seems like a guy we continue to like every single week, but his price is right. And we have a process. We go through the process. You look at a guy who's too cheap for the amount of targets he's seeing. Nick Chubb, I'm not sure how much I like him this week. If you take a look and break this down to just the early only games, on just the only early side, it's really difficult because on the early only, you've got like Chubb, Gurley, and Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley and Chubb are going against tougher defenses. So I think there's better spots at running back than Chubb. Baker Mayfield, I think that we're starting to see, going back to last week, this guy's upside. I mean, you saw it. If you watched any of Hard Knocks, you really saw the dude's a leader. The team rallies around him. They used that Hugh Jackson stuff last week, and they really went out and played. I think this team thinks they have an outside shot. They're young enough to believe they can win out, and I think that you get that kind of an effort from them this weekend. So I do like Mayfield a little bit. I love Jarvis Landry, and then the other guy that I'll continue to take a look at is Antonio Callaway because he has big play upside. He just does. The guy's got big play upside. You can see last week in Cincinnati, 12.2 points. He's a GPP play only because you can see 12.2, 14.8, 9.6, and then he has, just lackluster statistics in between. So it's a boomer bust play. For tournaments, I like this kind of boomer bust play in this type of game.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy because Cleveland's playing pretty good for sure, man. So Houston, I mean, there's a couple guys I do like. Deshaun Watson, I mean, the guy, he is a little bit up and down. I mean, you got to expect that for a second-year guy. Thing we like about him, though, hey, man, he does have the upside coming off a good game against Tennessee, and they're right there in the thick of things in the division, and I definitely think this is a spot that he can have a solid game. Like you said, Cleveland's defense isn't bad. So I don't know if it's going to be the monster game spot for him, but I definitely think he's going to give you a solid floor with the way he runs the ball and stuff. So I like him. One guy I do like, you talk about, people being too cheap, and that's a good opportunity. I mean, Lamar Miller, I know the guy is a little bit up and down, but I mean, he's the main guy and he gets the workload. 6,300, it's a very good price tag for him. And, last week he broke one for a long gain, I understand, but he's giving you that upside. I just think this is a good price and somebody that you can look at running back. Maybe a little bit more of a GPP play, but I definitely think he's in play. And then you can look at Hopkins. This guy, I mean, he has a couple of down weeks in a row. He's due to, have, a really good game. I mean, he's the red zone target for them. The guy gets a ton of targets. He gets massive, targets going his way. I mean, so I like him. I definitely think he's a GPP play. And that's really it for me, man. I just like the main guys pretty much. Just, Hopkins, a little bit of Miller, and a little bit of Watson. Cool?
Yep.
Next game we're going to, it's going to be which one do we want to go to? We will go to, let me check this out. We will go to Baltimore. So we're going to go to Baltimore. Oh, my computer's being slow right now. Sorry. So we're going to Baltimore, going into Atlanta to face the Falcons. This game has a 48.5 over under, and Atlanta is favored by 2.5 in this one.
Look, at this point, I don't really want anything to do with it. I just don't. I mean, if you want to play Lamar Jackson because of his ability to run with the football, go ahead. But I really don't want any part of this. Gus Edwards is questionable. Right now, as we sit the night before, until 8:30 tomorrow morning when active and inactive comes out and I know what's going on with Baltimore, I can't give you anything to play off of it because I don't know. I mean, I was watching the Baltimore game when Lamar Jackson took off for a run and he looked over the sidelines and said, "I can't fucking run." So I don't know how you get from "I can't fucking run" to starting. You look at the running back situation. Edwards, he's questionable. We already know that Alex Collins is out. So you've got Javaris Allen. I mean, Buck Allen was a decent running back at USC, but he hasn't done anything in the NFL besides let people down in crush spots. So if he's the only running back tomorrow, you got Ty Montgomery. You have to mention him, but Montgomery hasn't really done anything either. So I don't know what to tell you to do with Baltimore until I know tomorrow morning when actives and inactives come out.
Yeah, man. And then at the Atlanta side of things, honestly, I like one guy, bro. Hey, bro, check this out. Our news feed is saying that Julio Jones is a must start tomorrow. Atlanta wide receiver is a must start week 13. Even though the Baltimore's defense is tough, Jones will likely be covered by Smith, which will make it tough. And the Ravens have allowed 13.6 fantasy points to receivers. However, Jones has scored a touchdown in 3 of the last 4 games, has a streak of 100-yard receiving games with double-digit targets in 5 of the 6. So, I mean, they like Jones. I don't know if I'm gonna say he's a must start, but they definitely had some good reasons to play him this week. I think any week that you kind of look at Julio Jones because he definitely has an upside, but I'm not really going to look too much at anything else on that line side of things. I mean, it just doesn't really interest me. Yeah, you
Well,
like?
I can tell you that exact article
Uh,
is exactly what I put on my video for the Thanksgiving slate about Julio Jones. You can just take a look at double-digit targets, 100-yard receiving games, and touchdowns in each of those last 3 games. So going into the Thursday night game against New Orleans, that's what he had. The guy had a really good game against New Orleans as well. I think Julio Jones he's kind of in that zone right now where he's just ready to break out for a 200-yard, 2-touchdown game.
yeah, for sure.
Baltimore's holding on right now. They were a good team when the season started. They had some really quality wins, but they are just decimated right now with injuries. There's a quarterback controversy with the 2 quarterbacks, Flacco and Lamar. So I think it's a mess. I think it's a good opportunity to play Julio Jones, and just Atlanta needs this, man. Atlanta needs this. They're holding on for dear life, trying to stay relevant in the wild card.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you can always look at Ridley or Sanu as a GPP play. I mean, one thing
Right.
is they have touchdown upside for sure. So, hey, moving on. Next game we're gonna go to it is gonna be Carolina Panthers going into Tampa Bay to face the Bucks. This game has a 54 over under, which is the second highest on the slate, and Carolina is favored by 3 in this one.
Yeah. So last week, this was a familiar spot with San Francisco going in there and Tampa Bay being 32nd in DVOA against the pass. They're a terrible defense. We know that. They're 31st in the league to tight ends and DVOA. So this has been a spot that we've attacked all year long, is going against Tampa Bay. You have to like McCaffrey. You have to like Cam Newton. You take a look at DJ Moore. You got to like him. Curtis Samuel, you got to like him. Funchess, if he plays, it seems like it could be a spot for Funchess. And then obviously Greg Olsen. I think that all of Carolina's skill guys are in play in this one, just depending on what part or what type of lineup you're building, cash or GPP, is how deep you go into their roster. So I like all of it. I do. I like all of it. It's, high over under. You have to be exposed to it. So I like all of it.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is going to be a fun game. So on the Tampa Bay side of things, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, Jameis Winston, when he plays, he does all right most of the time, and then you feel like, okay, yeah, he's finally getting there in their groove, and then he'll have a horrible game, horrible first half, and he'll get benched. So I mean, I just don't know how comfortable I feel with it, but I mean, I do like some Winston tomorrow. If he's just going to be the starter, they're going to leave him alone. He does run the ball as well. 7,500 is a fair price tag for him. I mean, the run game for Tampa Bay, not really looking at. Payne Barr for me doesn't really have too much upside. I do like Mike Evans. Anytime that you got Winston in there, he looks for Mike Evans. We've seen that connection over and over in the past. I think this is a solid spot where you can look at Mike Evans as well. He had a bad game last time he faced Carolina, so I definitely think this is a game, where he can have a bounce back spot against them. So Mike Evans is a GPP play. I don't know. Do you like any of those cheap wide receivers?
For Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
Chris Godwin.
Okay, see, they just always have like a couple that kind of always creep in there, Godwin, Humphreys. There was another guy that was getting a couple as well. So Godwin's the guy?
I think Godwin's the guy, man. I think that, I think Godwin's the guy. for sure. I think Godwin is the guy you play. I think Godwin will be very chalky tomorrow. I think that just looking around the industry, a lot of people are talking about Godwin as well. I think this guy may be safe for cash in this as a wide receiver 3 at 5,400. I do like Godwin a lot.
All right, for sure. Yeah. See, I was kind of like, because Humphreys occasionally gets his too. So it's kind of like,
I mean, you can see here on the chart that they're 31st, Tampa Bay's 31st in DVOA. The wide receiver number 2 is 30th to number 1. So if you're going to play, I mean, obviously everybody's in play. Barber's in play. I mean, McCaffrey's in play. They're all in play. Then you take a flip side look to that, right? And you take a look at where Tampa Bay's at with Carolina, and it's they're not far behind. I mean, they have good spots to attack on both sides. That wide receiver number 2 spot is also fairly weak. Godwin, I think, is the guy who's chalky.
yeah, man. I mean, I think that this game could be a high-scoring game. I definitely think so. And I think that, this is a game we probably do want to target a little bit. So, yeah, definitely. We'll move on now. Next game we're going to go to is going to be Buffalo Bills going into Miami to face the Dolphins. This game has a 40 over-under, and Miami's favored by 3.5 in this one.
So, yeah, I mean – I don't really know what I want to do with Buffalo either. I love playing Buffalo's defense. I think their defense is stout. I do. They have some pretty good DVOA matchups, except the guy that you would like to get a little bit of exposure to tomorrow in this matchup is LaShawn McCoy at 5,700, especially on the early only. But, Miami they're decent against the run. So, the 18th in DVOA. So what do you do with it? I think that LaShawn McCoy makes for a great GPP play, especially early only. Wide receiver wise, I'm always going to avoid this situation, but as a whole, Josh Allen is playable. He's definitely playable in this. Josh Allen going all the way back to his junior college days, and then in 4-year school, you could take a look. He's been compared to Carson Wentz. He had the same exact quarterback coach that recruited him. The quarterback coach was at North Dakota State when Carson Wentz was there. Is the same exact guy who got him out of junior college when he saw film on him. He runs better than Carson Wentz does, and they've got a lot of the same tools. So at 6,800, I think you could take a look at him. He brings upside in the passing game. I just wouldn't target any of their receivers tomorrow unless you were pairing them up for a deep GPP. But I think Josh Allen is playable. I really do. I think Josh Allen's a good GPP guy. You can get it 2 to 4% owned. And LaShawn McCoy probably close to, under 10%. So I think both those guys make really good tournament plays.
Yeah, man. And then, on the Miami side of things, I definitely think, there's a couple guys you could target for GPP. Tannehill, I think 6,600. He's cheap, and he's a guy we know has, 30 fantasy point upside. First game back against the Colts, 17.5 points. I think Tannehill is a guy that, you could maybe look for just based on his price of 6,600, and he has some upside in GPP. Maybe throw him in a couple lineups. You got the running back Drake. He's coming off the best game of the season, 6,200. It's a solid price for him. I don't know how much I'm really, really going to look at him. But I think you could throw him, like I said, in a couple lineups, get a little bit of upside. But he definitely has the upside. It's just he's just so inconsistent. For me, you guys probably already know, I just don't really care. I'm more of a cash game player. So anytime I play somebody, I look more for the consistency more than anything else. And so him, strictly GPP, that's really it. I don't know what to really do with this wide receiver situation. Kenny Stills, he's not a guy that I'm going to look at.
Load up Kenny Stills. That's the guy you want to load up. That's the only weak spot Buffalo has. 21st in DVOA to wide receiver number 2s. Kenny Stills is a Kenny Stills type of game where they trailed the majority of the game, and Kenny Stills gets a long touchdown pass. It's the Kenny Stills type of game.
Okay, for sure. Do you think that Tannehill's in play at 6,600?
Not against Buffalo's defense. I don't mind it. He's at home, and the one thing that I have to tell you, I haven't looked at weather yet, but if it's a warm day in Miami, I say this all the time. When the games are in Miami, if you watch any game in Miami, Miami's in the shade, and the visiting team is just smoking in the heat. Now you're coming from Buffalo where it's cold as hell. You're going to Miami and you're staying in the heat for 3 hours just getting smashed by the sun, right? So that does something to players as a whole, right? So, it's Miami at home. It's Tannehill at home. It's their friendly environment. I don't like anything besides Kenny Stills, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I was just kind of looking, and I don't know. I just like the price on him. So moving on, next game we're gonna go to. It's gonna be. Let's see, what game do we want to do next? We will go Chicago going. So yeah, so we will go to Chicago Bears going into New York to face the Giants. This game has a 44.5 over under. Chicago's favored by 3.5 in this one.
So from a defensive standpoint, right, you have to look at DVOA, obviously, and Chicago's the top defense, number 1 overall at DVOA. They're second against the pass, first against the run. The only weak spot is the wide receiver number 2s. So if you want to take a look, I'll let you deal with that New York side. But Chicago's defense is something that has to be in play tomorrow. I know Eli Manning's played fairly well as of late, but he hasn't played a defense this good recently. He's been in crush spots. He's been in a spot against Tampa Bay, in an obvious spot there. So he's been in some really good spots. That goes for Odell Beckham Jr. as well. It goes for Evan Ingram as well. This is not the 49ers. This is not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a playoff team. We saw what happened. Trubisky is doubtful. We saw what happened with Chase Daniel last week. More than capable. I think Chase Daniel is a guy you could definitely look at playing at 6,000. Stay away. I'm going to stay away from the running back situation. If you want to play Cohen, go ahead, play Cohen in tournaments. But anytime you think you got to figure it out, the other guy scores. So from a wide receiver standpoint, Allen Robinson playing very good. He's playing very good right now. He's playing steady football. You can pop up his game log here and we can take a look. He only had 3.7 here and 3.9 here in 2 very tough games. This game right here, Chase Daniel just threw the ball very short, and they had some big plays. But the 25.3 he got against Detroit, the targets he's got in these 3 games make me want to put him in play. He also had a 2-touchdown game against Detroit as well. So I like him here. He's a number 1 wide receiver. Now you've also had a full week of practice. It's not a short week. You've had a full week of practice with Chase Daniel projected as a starting quarterback. So, Taylor Gabriel's another guy at 5,300 you could look at. The $5,000 to $5,700 wide receivers this week are the guys that are in really there's a bunch of them that I really like, and he's another one that I really like as well. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Burton. Burton's in a really good spot as well. So that's really it for me.
But why do I keep feeling like I keep getting the bad spots over and over? So the Giants. I mean, you talked about it. Chicago's defense is very good. Eli Manning, we know, turns the ball over a ton. He's not somebody I'm even going to look at all. Beckham, I mean, I don't know if I want to pay $8,200 for Beckham against this defense. I guess you could throw him in a couple lineups. I mean, he has upside if you're max center and, 2 or 3 lineups won't kill you. But I'm not really going to target him. Shepard's cheap, $5,400. And Manning's going to throw the ball, and he is going to get some completion. Somebody has to catch him. I think this is a pretty good price for Shepard. But, yeah, man, I'm just not really interested in a Giants offense. I think the main guy I'm going to look at is going to be Saquon Barkley. I mean, how can you not look at a guy with the kind of usage that this guy is getting? I mean, he's, catching the ball, running the ball. Like, he's the workhorse. He's the Ezekiel Elliott of this team. And he's a young dude. He's fresh. I think that he's going to continue this. And, and he's getting better week after week. So I think the main guy that you target, even though it's the Bears defense, the guy's just getting so much workload. I definitely think you can still look at Barkley. I think this week is probably a little bit more of a GPP play compared to last week when we played him. It was a cash game play. But I definitely think you got to really consider Barkley in a couple lineups. He definitely has the upside. So, yeah, man, it's just, Barkley and maybe Odell in a couple GPP lineups and just kind of move on.
Yeah, move on.
Next game we're going to go to is going to be the Arizona Cardinals going into Green Bay to face the Packers. This game has a 43 over-under, and Green Bay's favored by 14 in this one.
Yeah, and, this is a Green Bay team that's also trying to get in the hunt, stay in the hunt, however you want to look at it. They need wins, right? So Arizona comes in. Arizona started off fast against the Chargers last week, got up 10-0 on them, and then it was night, lights out, no more production. So I don't really I've told you guys before, I don't like taking West Coast teams traveling across the country at all. I don't like anything on Arizona here at all. From a DVOA perspective, there looks like some spots we could attack, but at the same time, you're going against a defense in Green Bay that can get after the passer. And, Rosen has an opportunity to go out and play against a defense that's not great against the pass, but he holds the ball so long. And, you got a guy like Clay Matthews out there coming around off the edge. I don't know if I like this. I mean, for GPPs, if you want to load up a Larry Fitzgerald, if you want to load up, David Johnson, or if you wanted to go and load up Christian Kirk, fine. Do it in tournaments. Don't have high exposure to it. I think they're good tournament plays because of the upside that's there. But outside of that, this game's pretty much a fade.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, Green Bay side of things, Aaron Rodgers, like you said, they're in the hunt. They need this guy to, be Aaron Rodgers. Right now, he doesn't look like Aaron Rodgers. I mean, look at this. In the past 5 games, he's only had 1 game over 21 fantasy points. That's crazy. This was a guy 2 years ago. You know the story. I played this guy 9 weeks in a row in cash games 2 NFL seasons ago, and I won all 9 of those weeks in a row. Man, Aaron Rodgers is a guy we know has 35, 40 fantasy point upside. He hasn't had that game. This game is a must-win game. I think that this is a fair price for Aaron Rodgers, and I really like him in this spot. Definitely think he's in play. The guy Aaron Jones, man, since taking over, he's been on fire. He's averaged over 100 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown over the past 5 weeks. Arizona's defense is 21st against the run. I think this is a good spot where you can load up Aaron Jones. But, hey, his price tag has come up. We like to play him when he was $6,000. Now he's $7,600. But I definitely think that he's worth the price. Somebody that we can look at. And then you got to go with Devontae Adams. I mean, I'm looking at all their other wide receivers, and they're all questionable. Almost every receiver, he doesn't know who he's going to throw to in Aaron Rodgers, I'm speaking of, but we know he's going to throw it to Devontae Adams. He's the guy he goes to in crunch time, in the red zone. I think this guy gives you a solid floor, and he's a good play tomorrow. For sure, we know he's very consistent, but outside of that, that's really where I'm at. I'm not going to look at Jimmy Graham. Last week, I didn't know, and we played him, and I thought that but I found out that he had his thumb was messed up, and I just played him like on one. I think it was like my 4 p.m. only or something. But make a long story short, I mean he barely played at all. So I'm not going to play a guy with the injured thumb. He's having trouble catching the ball. So for me, you look at Aaron Rodgers, you look at his main man Devontae Adams, the running back Jones, and call it a day. Ready to move on. Next game we're going to go to. It is going to be the Los Angeles Rams going into Detroit to face the Lions. This game has a 55 over-under, which is tied for the highest on the slate, and the Rams are favored by 10.5 in this one.
Yeah, so, I mean, the majority of those points are on the Rams side. So, for me, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. This is a Todd Gurley game. Period, point blank, end of story. They played on Monday night. They gave up a ton of points to Kansas City. The game was a shootout. You take a look at Todd Gurley's carries over the last 3 weeks. I think he has 12, 13, and 15. The game before that was against Green Bay. He had 25 carries. So his carries have been down. What's the date today? Today's December 1st, right? We're in December 2nd for this slate. You run the football in December. That's what you do. You run the football in December. You have to win football games in December. You run the football in December. So I look for them to get back on track with the extra couple of days of practice they had coming off a Monday night game. I look for them to get the shortened week to get back to what they do best, which is run the football with Todd Gurley. I think it'll open up some play action stuff. We know how bad Detroit is against the run. We've targeted running backs against them all year long. And I'm going right back here again with Todd Gurley. This is a Todd Gurley game.
Yeah, then I mean, really on the Detroit side of things, it's tough. Rams are a really, really good defense. Matthew Stafford's been so up and down this year. I mean, I'm not going to play no Matthew Stafford going against, the Rams. Running back wise, Blunt had a good game, but he's not going to have that same kind of game going against the Rams. I honestly don't think this offense is going to do very good at all. I think the Rams will dominate this game. I mean, the only guy I guess you could even consider, maybe possibly you could throw a couple lineups to Galladay. He's getting a ton of targets right now, a ton of usage. without no since they traded away what's his name, the guy they traded to the Eagles.
Golden Tate.
Golden Tate, yeah. So since they traded him away, he's the main man, straight up. And then you got Marvin Jones, he's out as well. He's getting a ton of targets. So maybe a couple lines of GPP, you throw Galladay in. But I mean, I think that the Detroit offense is pretty much a complete fade.
Yeah, I feel it.
You know what I mean? All right. Next game, it's gonna be Indiana going into Jacksonville to face the Jaguars. This game has a 47.5 over under, and Indiana's favored by 3.5. But why do I gotta get the damn bad team again?
I don't know, but you stuck on basketball. You keep calling them Indiana.
Oh,
You're stuck on basketball. You keep saying
Indianapolis. My bad.
Hey, so for me, this is 100%. As much as the last game is 100% Todd Gurley, this game is 100% Andrew Luck. The guy has had no less than 22.2 fantasy points in each of his last 8 weeks. In the last 8 weeks, he's had at least 3 touchdown passes in each of those games. He's had at least 275 passing yards in each of those games. This is an Andrew Luck game. We've been saying this about Andrew Luck since he's played. Been saying straight up, the guy's throwing it 40, 50 times a game. That's what they're going to have to do to win. Andrew Luck's playing at a high level. The guy's having an MVP caliber year based off his statistics. He's getting no recognition. Nobody's talking about the season he's having, especially the last 8 weeks. There hasn't been anybody better. Maybe you can make an argument that Drew Brees has been, but Andrew Luck's on fire. So I love Andrew Luck. I'm okay just running him out there naked as well, because I don't think you can kind of predict who's going to catch touchdown passes for him. You could go back to Ebron. Ebron, I guess, leaving Detroit, now he knows how to catch, because that's all he does now is catch touchdown passes. So you could definitely stack him with Ebron. You can stack him with T.Y. Hilton. Marlon Mack, we'll find out tomorrow morning if he's active or inactive. If he's not active, I think that that's a better case to be made to play Andrew Luck. At $8,200, the guy's way underpriced for what he's putting up, way underpriced. He's a value play. So that's where I'm at. I don't know how you don't play Andrew Luck against this Jacksonville team. They won't have Leonard Fournette. They're starting their backup quarterback. This Cody Kessler. This whole thing is just, it's Andrew Luck. Load him up. Short fields, a lot of possessions. Load him up.
Bro, I got to ask you a question real quick. All right. Am I tripping, or is Yeldon 4,800?
Yeah, he's 4,800.
Oh, Yeldon's an absolute lock tomorrow.
No, he's not.
Fournette
no,
out?
He's not.
You don't think so?
Okay, so you're going to play – we haven't got there. It's the next game, but Spencer Ware is going to be the highest owned player ever in the history of daily fantasy tomorrow, and you're going to play TJ Yeldon over him?
No. Why not play both of them?
Because when you could get Todd Gurley and Julio Jones in your lineup and crush spots, why would you take TJ Yeldon at 4,800 against a team who's going to go 3 and out all day?
Okay, so
bro, they're starting Cody Kessler.
Okay, so
defense is banged up, and 3 weeks ago Indianapolis lit them up.
All right, so let me ask you a question. So we know how expensive Gurley is, right?
Yeah.
We know how expensive Julio is. So why can't you go Gurley, Ware, Julio, and throw Yeldon 4,800, running back number 1, going to get a ton of workload as your flex?
Because I think they go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out all day.
You don't think they're gonna get any first downs, bro? They're still professional players, bro.
Bro, I'm a realist. I'm a realist with Blake Bortles, bro. They're done. Let me tell you something.
Hey, but look at the only reason
they are professional athletes, but they're human beings. And let me tell you something. This ain't college and this ain't high school where you'd be like, hey, we're not playing well right now. We're going to go to our backup quarterback. This is the NFL where dudes make millions of dollars and their body is their investment. You think dudes are they're like, fuck, we're going to start Cody Kessler and we have no Fournette. And we got probably a possibility of having our best 2 corners out. We're fucked. That's going to be their mindset.
Yeah. My thing is It's
Hey,
40.
what's the spread in this? I don't have it in front of me. What's the spread?
Let me look real quick. But I'm just looking, bro. He has 20 fantasy point upside. I mean, he's a good player. That's just kind of my thing with it.
You don't have 20 fantasy point upside in
The
this game.
spread is only 3.5, bro, and it's a 47.5 over under.
I don't see it.
47.5 over under 3.5. You got Yeldon for $4,800. He catches out the backfield. He's gonna be the goal line back.
38-10.
That's just bare minimum. You know what I'm saying?
38-10. 38-10. Final score.
Okay. I just like the price. Like that's like almost bare minimum. I like Yeldon tomorrow. So that's really the guy that I like on the Jacksonville side of things, and I'm ready to move on. Okay, next game we got Kansas City going into Oakland to face the Raiders. This game has a 55 over under, and Kansas City's favored by 14 with no Kareem Hunt.
So I just said Spencer Ware is going to be the absolute chalk tomorrow. He's going to be the chalk as chalk gets, right? So in cash games,
he needs to be in every lineup.
Just put him in your lineup and move on. That's it. But I really love Patrick Mahomes. I think that without Tyreek Hill now, we've already seen twice this year Mahomes has thrown for 6 touchdown passes. We've already seen that. I think everybody moves to Spencer Ware, and with so much attention on Spencer Ware, a lot of people don't like to stack up a quarterback and a running back. But I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be low owned tomorrow, and I think he has all the ability to throw 4, 5, 6 touchdowns, and even maybe throw 4 touchdowns and run one. I just think that I like the receiving game. I like all 3 wide receivers. When you start talking about Hill, Conley, I like what they've got. I just do. I like this whole thing going on here.
Hey, bro, let me tell you something real quick. You want to hear something hella funny, bro? What? You know what you're just saying right now, right? Like exactly what you're just saying about them, bro. I run the optimizer. Look what the optimizer has, bro. Mahomes, Ware, Tyreek Hill.
Well, that's funny. I haven't refreshed it since we've been on.
Yeah, but I was like, bro, I just looked real quick. I was like, oh shit.
But see, to me, like the best stack on the board for tournaments for me right now is Mahomes and Kelsey, because there is enough value. Like you said, if you really want to go get a TJ Yeldon, you can put him in your flex spot. Spencer Ware's already there, and if you're going to run a Kansas City stack, to me, Oakland 32nd in the league to tight ends. They're terrible against the tight end position. I just think that as Spencer Ware has never been that guy. He's never been that guy. He's never been a guy who's – there was a couple of games when what was the – I can't think of the previous running back's name. Jamal Charles. There was a couple of games, mainly a San Diego game, where Jamal Charles didn't play and Spencer Ware came in and he had 35 fantasy points. That was in San Diego. But Spencer Ware's never been a full 3-down running back. He's been their 3rd-down guy. And going back to when they had Jamal Charles, he still wasn't their guy. And then they drafted Kareem Hunt, and Spencer Ware is still there. So he's obviously in that spot. But I like Kelsey and I like Mahomes a lot more than I like Spencer Ware. Spencer Ware for me is the play because of how owned he's going to be. Just lock in a free square, and whatever he does is not going to matter. Spencer Ware will move the money line tomorrow, period, in tournaments and in cash games.
Yeah, for sure. And then, man, on the Oakland side of things, I don't know, man. I mean, what do you look at? Maybe Jared Cook getting a ton of volume. I mean, I think you can look at him at tight end, but, I mean, I'm not interested in the Oakland offense. I mean, they're backup wide receivers pretty much. Nelson, I mean, he's just not the guy that, he was. I bet you that Nelson, bro, I bet you he regrets leaving Green Bay. Like, I bet you, bro, for sure. So, I mean, Oakland, I like the tight end and Jared Cook. And, I mean, I think that's really it for me, honestly. You like anything on Oakland?
The interesting thing to me about this game is from a DVOA standpoint, both these teams are top 5 against wide receiver 1 and 2s. So if you're going to look to load people up, you start with quarterback, running back, tight end. So I don't mind if you want to, use a Jared Cook. I don't even mind playing Derek Carr. And if you're going to stack this game up, I don't mind going with Derek Carr in that game stack and then, getting a Jared Cook, running a Kelsey at your flex spot, and then a Spencer Ware. Even a Jalen Richard, a guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield and has a big upside as far as tournaments go. So from a game stack standpoint, if you want to do that, fine. But like your main lineup and your optimal tournament lineup, I wouldn't touch the Raider side of it.
Yeah, for sure. So let's move on. Next game we got New York Jets going into Tennessee to face the Titans. This game has a 40.5 over under, and Tennessee's favored by 10.
I don't know how much I want to be a part of this game either, to be honest with you. I mean, from the Jets side of it, I think Tennessee's decent, man. I think it's a decent team. We've seen them in prime time a few times in the past 3 weeks, and I don't really want anything to do with the Jets, to be honest with you. There's not really anything that I want to load up here. Darnold's listed as questionable. I haven't seen him listed as out yet. No reports on Saturday. So again, we wait and see tomorrow morning. But if it's a Josh McCown situation, I'm not big on their running back situation. I'm not big on their wide receiver situation. I mean, you touched on it last week when somebody was asking us about Anua, and you said, yeah, early in the season he was okay. But I'm not playing anybody on the Jets tomorrow.
Yeah, man. Tennessee, I mean, there's a couple guys I think we can look at. I mean, Mariota, he's a fair price tag. Going against a Jets team who just isn't very good. 7,000. I mean, I think it's a good price tag for him. We know he has some upside. He runs the ball as well. We always like quarterbacks. They run the ball. They give us a little bit more of a floor. And the guy's been hot, man. He's got you at least 21 fantasy points in 3 of the past 4. This game against Indiana, he got injured and had to leave. I like him. I think that he's a solid play for GPPs. You pair him up. He's been doing very well with Chris Davis, and Chris Davis still under 6,000. 2 of his past 3 games. And like I said, this game is when Mariota got hurt. But him and Mariota have a connection, man. 18.5, 19.5 fantasy points in 2 of the past 3. You got to like him. If you're going with Mariota, you obviously want to do that stack. You could possibly look at Deion Lewis, 5,500. He's strictly GPP, but he is getting carries and he is getting, balls thrown to him. And he, I think he has some upside. We've seen a couple of games already where he got, some touchdowns, 15, 18 fantasy points. So that's really it, man. I think I do really like the Mariota to Corey Davis stack in GPPs, though, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Next game we're moving on to is San Francisco 49ers going into Seattle to face the Seahawks. This game has a 45.5 over under. Seattle's favored by 10. And one thing I want to say really quick is I hate the 49ers quarterback. He cost me so much money last weekend.
You can just get right into Seattle if you want.
Yeah, for sure. So you got Russell Wilson under 8,000. The guy's really picking it up, man. He always does this every year. He goes on a run trying to get his team into the playoffs, and so I like him, like I said, under 8,000. You pair him up, with his wide receiver. It's crazy because, Lockett's been the guy that's really been doing very well, but you definitely still got to look at Baldwin. They have that connection over the past couple of years, and he has some upside. 6,200 is a very fair price tag for Baldwin. So I like both of the wide receivers. And then, Chris Carson, 6,300, back-to-back games, where he did solid, man. Got you at least 12 fantasy points. I think that this is a solid spot that you can look at him. If they get up, they're going to run the ball. And, man, they've shown that they want to make this guy the feature back. So I definitely think you could look at him as well in GPPs. So, and that's really it for me, man. So I like Wilson. I like both of his receivers and Lockett, Baldwin. And then I like the running back Carson as well.
Yeah, cool. Move on.
Cool. Last game of the night on the main slate we're going to talk about is – where is it at? What game is it? Sorry. Okay, it's Minnesota. Oh, yeah, Minnesota going into New England. So that game, Minnesota going into New England to face the Patriots. This game has a 49.5 over under, and New England is favored by 5 in this one.
I like this game, man. I think it's going to be a really good game. It's a really entertaining game. We just know just a little while ago they came out and said Diggs will play tomorrow, so Diggs is in. I like this game. I like everything about it. I think it's going to be entertaining. I like Cousins. I like Dalvin Cook. I do. And obviously, you got to start with Adam Thielen at tight end. Here's the thing. Thielen's priced $8,100. It seems too cheap. This is too cheap for Adam Thielen. I don't care what you do when you look at his game log. I mean, he had 18.5 last week, and his price is $8,100 this week. So, we're talking about Julio Jones is a must start and this and that. This dude, to me, is a must start, especially in a game like this. If there's one thing we know about New England when they play at home, they're going to score points. And we know Minnesota has not had the best defense all year long. So, I like Adam Thielen a ton. He's one of my favorite wide receivers in the slate. You have to look at Rudolph. You have to. The guy, Rudolph, he's a big target. This guy's a red zone target. And for me, I look at a game like this, and I'm looking, okay, I think there's going to be 4 or 5 red zone possessions for Minnesota. And I think that this guy is a target in all 5 of those possessions, and I think he gets a touchdown tomorrow in one of those red zone possessions. So I'm on Rudolph at 5,600. I like all the pieces of this game on the Minnesota side of it. I really do. The only guy that I'm not going to say that I'm going to play is I'm not going to play Latavius Murray at 5,600. There's not enough there. Dalvin Cook is the guy that's been on the field. Dalvin Cook also receives the ball very well in the passing game. So Dalvin Cook, I'm on him as well. So I like all these offensive pieces for Minnesota.
Yeah, man, I definitely think it's going to be a fun game for sure. You start with Tom Brady. Minnesota's defense is pretty good. Don't get me wrong. But, hey, man, Brady's Brady. Definitely anytime he's on the slate, you got to consider him. Right now, you're getting him at an under $8,000 price tag. Hey, that's pretty crazy. He hasn't had, a monster game in a while. And, the reason why is, his running backs have been taking care of business. Talking about James White and Michelle, however you say it. But hey, man, Minnesota's defense, I think they have a good front for they have some solid linebackers. So I think if they can stop the run somewhat, or at least slow it down, and Brady's gonna have to throw more in this game. So I like him in this spot, man. I definitely think this is a game where he could throw for 4 touchdowns. This is I really like this game a lot, like you were saying as well. James White, 6,800. I was playing him these couple games. He had 3-game stretch when Mikel was out. He did well. But now that he's back, he's not getting the usage. I'm not paying 6,800 for the workload that he's getting right now. This is a guy, though, man. They're giving him almost 20 carries a game. They like to give this guy the ball. He's a goal line running back. 7,000, the price tag. It's all right. It's not too bad. GPP, maybe throw him in a couple games. But yeah, man, I like this game, man. You can go with all the wide receivers pretty much, and Edelman, Gordon, Hogan's dirt cheap right now, and I know that he hasn't had no monster game, but this is a guy, he has some upside. And 4,900 just a very fair price tag. We're paying 6,500 before, so I think that you can look at him as a deep dive GPP. Edelman's the main guy I'm going to look at, though. Him and Brady, they have their connection, always have their connection. So for me, the best stack in this game is going to be the Brady to Edelman, and then that Edelman's more solid floor upside, you can throw in a little bit of Gordon as well. Grunt came back last week, and he scored a touchdown. Got you 11 fantasy points. 6,700 is dirt cheap for Grunk as well. The thing about it is, though, is, I talked about them all. He has a ton of weapons in Brady. So I think he's in play. The other guys, they kind of take away from each other, but they're all fair priced. So honestly, I like the whole offense, for the New England for sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit here and name everybody. I like the whole offense.
For me, when I look at the New England side of it, it's I think Josh Gordon. It might be a Josh Gordon game. I just think it might be a Josh Gordon game. They've, you look at what Minnesota gives up as a defense overall. They give it up to tight ends and they give it up to wide receivers. Wide receiver number 2. They're number 1 against wide receiver number 1. I think this is a Josh Gordon game, and I just do. The thing about Edelman, the reason you can always take him is because they move him around so much. Put him in the slot, they put him at the X, they put him at the Y, he plays the H. Right. So this is a game where I could see Edelman getting loose on a wheel route for a big touchdown. I just like this game a lot. I think it's one of the best. It may be the best game that's on the slate.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, hey, man, I think that's about all we got for Week 13. If you guys got any questions, put them in the chat real quick. We'll get to those, and then I'm ready to pretty much get out of here, man. So let me see real quick. Michael, take away from Brady. I like Brady this week. Talked about that.
Sonny Michelle.
Okay, yeah, Michelle. Okay, I didn't know if it was Michelle or Mikel. New England's defense against Thielen. I like Thielen. You talked about that. Said that they don't like Diggs. I think Diggs is a solid play any week if he's on the slate. And yeah, man, that's it, bro. I mean, I'm ready to get up out of here. So hey, thank you very much, Jeremy, for helping me out with this video. Always appreciate it. Hey man, tomorrow we're gonna work on these cash lines. Let's get this money, all right? Hey, peace out, guys.